Hello and welcome. Today we are going to see elbow joint. Now, elbow joint is a long question for any university. Along with the long question of elbow joint, today we are also going to discuss the related muscles. These related muscles are biceps brachii, triceps brachii, brachialis. Then we will also discuss supinator, pronator teres and anconeus. So it covers long question of elbow joint as well as short notes of these muscles. Along with this, we are also going to see anastomosis around elbow joint, that is also a short note. So let us see the slides. Is a hinge type of joint between arm and forearm. Actually it consists of three components. Now see the introduction. The elbow joint is a complex hinge joint formed between the distal and the humeral in upper arm and proximal end of ulna and radius in the forearm. The elbow allows for flexion. Functional importance: elbow complex is designed to serve hand. They provide mobility of hand in space by apparent shortening and lengthening of the arm. Types: diarthrosis, synovial, hinge type of joint. Hinge is always uniaxial. It is complex and compound. Why complex? Because of capsular cavity having multiple compartment, and compound because of multiple bony contribution. Hinge uniaxial joint, you can see the hinge. It's a typical hinge joint because no muscle crosses it medially or laterally. Epicondyles are palpable subcutaneously. A humero-ulnar joint, the contributing bones are proximally humerus and distally ulna. The humerus has the articular surface on the humerus is hourglass shaped trochlea, and ulna have articular surface distally. The articulating surface of ulna is semicircular shape concave surface called trochlear notch. Now coming to humero-radial joint, contributing bones proximally humerus, distally radius. Humerus have articular surface. The articulating surface on humerus is spherical shaped capitulum, and the radius distally have the articulating surface on radius is cup shaped. Now articulation actually varies in extension and flexion. The olecranon process enter the olecranon fossa in humero-ulnar joint. There is no contact between articulating surface in humero-radial joint. But in case of flexion, the trochlear ridge of ulna slides along the trochlear groove until coronoid process reaches the coronoid fossa in humero-ulnar joint. The radial head slides over capitulum and reaches it. Now coming to the carrying angle, in case of male it is 13 degree, in case of female it is 15 degree, mainly due to the medial portion of the trochlea project distally more than the lateral portion of. As a result, there is a valgus angulation of the forearm, that is called as carrying angle. In case of female it is higher than in case of male individual. We can see during walking. Now this is capsular ligament. You can see the upper two diagrams are bony, and they are the three bony joint component are covered by this capsule: the humero-ulnar, the humero-radial and superior radial. These three joints are enclosed in a single joint capsule. The capsule is fairly loose. Here you can see attachment. The anterior attached to above humerus along the upper margins of the coronoid and radial fossa, and to the front of the medial and lateral epicondyles below to the margins of the coronoid process of the ulna and to the annular ligament which surrounds the head of the radius. Here you can see that this is this line, red line. You can see the attachment of the capsule from above to below. Now here is collateral ligament, radial and medial ulnar collateral ligament. Medial one is called as ulnar collateral ligament and lateral is radial collateral ligament. Now lateral collateral ligament is triangular and is attached by its apex to the lateral epicondyle of the humerus by its base, upper margin of the annular ligament. Here you can see the triangular ligament. Now the medial ligament is also triangular. Here you can see, and of three strong hands, the anterior band, there is posterior band and the transverse band. These three bands forming this triangular medial collateral ligament or ulnar collateral ligament. Okay, so here you can see the annular ligament. Now this is a rounded, annular means like a ring. Annular ligament provides a sling effect around radial head. Here you can see the annular ligament, they binds the head of the radius and radial notch of the ulna forming proximal radioulnar joint. This is a pivot joint, mind you, this is not a hinge joint, pivot joint allowing the movement, that is supination and pronation. Here you can see the three ligaments, that is medial collateral ligament, lateral collateral ligament and annular ligament. Now the total angulation of movement from extension to flexion is around 150 degree. Now relation: anteriorly brachialis tendon of biceps, median nerve, brachial artery; posteriorly triceps muscle, small bursa. Now flexors of elbow: biceps brachii, powerful flexor when elbow is in 90 degree flexion. Brachialis flexor of elbow in all position. Brachialis flexor. Now see the biceps brachii, the short head, tip of the coracoid process of the scapula as you can see in the diagram, and the long head supraglenoid tubercle. You can see supraglenoid tubercle between passes between intertubercular groove, insertion, tuberosity, radius fossa and forearm via bicipital appendages. Actions: supinates forearm, and when it is supine flexes the forearm. It can only flex when it is supine. Weak flexion of arm is the function. Now brachialis do the powerful flexion of the forearm. Origin: distal half of the anterior humerus. Here you can see an insertion, choroid process, tuberosity of ulna as you can see in the diagram. Action: powerful flexion of the forearm. Nerve supply: C5, C6 and C7. Brachioradialis. Origin: lateral ridge of the, here you can see lateral ridge of the distal humerus insertion, lateral surface of distal radius near styloid process. Action: flexion. Now muscles for extension: triceps brachii and anconeus. Muscles of extensions are triceps brachii and anconeus. Here you can see triceps and anconeus. Now we'll see these muscles individually. So this is anconeus, you can see. Now triceps brachii. Origin: long head from infraglenoid tubercle of the scapula, lateral head, posterior surface of the humerus and superior radial groove. Medial head, posterior surface of the humerus, inferior to the radial groove. Insertion: proximal end to the olecranon process of the ulna and fossa to the forearm. Action: chief extension of the forearm. Okay, the anconeus is the accessory. Chief was triceps, this is accessory. Origin: posterior surface of the lateral epicondyle. Now radioulnar joint. This is a pivot joint, trochoid or pivot type of joint. Radial head rotates around the proximal ulna. You can see the upper end that is within round ligament the head is rotating. Distal radius rotates around the distal ulna. Annular ligament maintains the radial head in its position. Here you can see the annular ligament forming almost 3/4 or 4/5 of the circle, and this is the facet, osseous facet, and the ring. Osseous facet is of ulna and the annular ring, this total thing forming the total circle or annulus. The radioulnar joint have total of 80 to 90 degree supination and pronation of 70 to 80 degree. Supinator, origin lateral epicondyle, posterior lateral surface of the ulna. Insertion, proximal lateral surface of the radius. Action, supination. Inserting a screw is needed in case of supinator. We need to do with supinator. The pronator teres, origin humeral head from medial epicondyle of the humerus, ulnar head from medial border of the coracoid process. Insertion into the rough impression on the medial part of the lateral surface of the shaft of the radius. Nerve supply from median nerve. Action, pronation of the forearm at the radioulnar joint. Now this is arterial supply and anastomosis. Here you can see above there is brachial artery and below it is bifurcated into radial artery and ulnar artery. Now this ulnar artery giving some ascending branch above, and radial artery also giving some ascending artery above. The brachial artery giving some descending branch, some from posterior aspect, some from anterior aspect. Now this ascending branch from radial and ulnar artery going above to get anastomos from the descending branches of brachial artery. Some are coming in front and some are coming from behind. So the descending branch from brachial artery are get anastomos with ascending branches of ulnar artery and radial artery, and at the level of elbow joint they are anastomosed. What is the purpose or utility? If there is any compression in elbow, a bypass circulation may be established. Now venous drainage, articular tributaries to cephalic vein, articular tributaries to basilic vein and medial vein. These are the venous drainage. Here you can see in yellow color that is cephalic vein, in blue color that is basilic vein. Nerve supply, the elbow and radioulnar joint are intervened by these nerves. Radial nerve originates from C5, C6, C7 and C8. Triceps brachii, brachioradialis and supinator and anconeus, there are motor supply and sensory supply with the pink area. Now median nerve, the pink area is for sensory supply and the motor supply to pronator. Now musculocutaneous nerve branches from C5 and C6. Biceps brachii and brachialis, you can see this is for motor supply, musculocutaneous chiefly. Tennis elbow is a ramification of supinator near its attachment to lateral epicondyle of humerus. It is observed for use of backhand shots in tennis and in cover drives in cricket. In golfers it is medial epicondyle. In tennis elbow it is lateral epicondyle, and in golfer's elbow it is medial epicondyle. Here you can see in tennis elbow it is lateral epicondyle, but in golfer's elbow it is medial epicondyle. Okay, that is the basic difference. And functional difference, that tennis elbow cover drive, here it is the scoop shot or golfer. Now cubital tunnel syndrome. This cubital tunnel syndrome, if there is any injury to the elbow, there may be cubital tunnel syndrome. You can see this area becomes there is no nerve supply to the pink marked area. This is nursemaid's elbow or elbow subluxation. A nurse or father or mother, whoever, when we pull abruptly pulling on child's hand or wrist, swinging a child by hand may cause this. Now this is where to give IV. You can see this basilic vein and cephalic vein here, an M formation or H formation. Now this cephalic vein is accompanied by lateral cutaneous nerve, and the basilic vein is accompanied by medial cutaneous nerve. So if we try to give IV through this vein, it may injure lateral cutaneous nerve or medial cutaneous nerve. So it is better to use medial cubital vein. Instead of injuring this lateral cutaneous or medial cutaneous nerve, we should give IV through this point, that is medial cubital vein. And if we miss medial cubital vein, we can also have another point, that is accessory cephalic vein, that is also having no nerve supply. So thank you all for today. This is, I hope it will be helpful for you. Stay connected to get more such videos. Please subscribe. Observing these slides, I hope it will be very fruitful for your exams, and those who are doctors following, it will be helpful for your practice. Thank you all. Wish you all the best.